and I think it has.
All right, guys, welcome back to the bench. So thank you guys for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about considerations for your fighting rifle upper receiver. Now, before we get into that, I have two things. One, huge shout out to Brownells for these awesome Fix-It sticks. Go head on over to Brownells. They are awesome. I will not have a link, but if you go to my link tree, you'll be able to find these in there. The Fix-It sticks are pretty awesome. You can use code TRIGGERED. Triggered will get you 10% off of anything 150 or more over at Brownells. So use that code. It'll help you guys out. It'll be pretty awesome. And it helps out my friend Dalton, who is in the Squad Drills group. Dude is an awesome guy, and I absolutely love everything that he does. I don't think he has a YouTube channel, but he's pretty awesome on Instagram. You go check him out at triggered.dad. But yeah, go check these out. Huge shout out to Brownells. Again, thank you guys so much. All right, so let's kind of go into the upper receiver, kind of why I had this built. I didn't build it. Trajectory Arms built this. But why I had it built, the way I had it built, kind of my choices on parts and things like that. So I did go with a Sons of Liberty Gunworks Phosphate Bolt Carrier Group. I like the Phosphate Bolt Carrier Groups, and the cool part about Trajectory Arms is if you send in your upper receiver for their inspection service and their build service, which if you buy their inspection service, it comes with the build service. They do everything. They check your rings. They go through all your stuff on your bolt carrier group. They do all sorts of stuff. I absolutely love Trajectory Arms, and I highly recommend them. If you're looking to have an upper built or worked on or inspected, send it to them. They will do everything. Phosphate bolt carrier groups, I think, are pretty good. They kind of bleed out their lubricant. They bleed out the lubricant. That is pretty good. When it heats up, it kind of bleeds. It's very good. I really like the phosphate bolt carrier groups. You can kind of go with whatever you want. I just like the phosphate because it doesn't really rust very much. As long as you keep it lubricated, it works out really well. It stays very lubricious and all that. And I just kind of went away from a lot of the coatings on there. I think the only other coating that I would go with is probably chrome, specifically because of Stoner, Eugene Stoner. He loves chrome. Chrome is a good plating. It's something that I feel like if you're going to have on a bolt carrier group, that's probably the one to have. Geisley government charging handle, I really like. It's very narrow. It does have a very negative camber, so when you go to pull this back, you can slip off of here pretty easily. But I wanted something snag free. This is a fighting rifle. I don't believe you're going to be using the charging handle a whole heck of a lot. Now, yes, spending money on a charging handle is something that you don't have to do. You can just go ahead and not. But it does have this ridge where it does reduce the amount of gas that goes into your eyeballs. It does not cut it out. It's still, if you have a gassy can, it will come back and bite you, and it that's just how it is. But I went with the Geisley government. That's what I like. Also, OD green is a superior color to everything. All right, getting into the upper receiver. I did go with a slick side upper receiver. I know you're gonna hate me. Fighting rifle, you should have a forward assist on there. Sure, I completely agree with you. I'm not going to say no. But I just didn't want a forward assist. I like uppers that don't have forward assists. I think Arrow Precision looks a lot cleaner than this if you were to buy one of Arrow's, but I did go with a KE Arms upper receiver. KE Arms is a very good company. They make the KP15. I really love that lower. But yeah, I like the no forward assist upper. Again, personal preference. There are a lot of personal preferences when it goes into this. Now, my optics choice, I also think is another personal preference, but I think optics going into this, you can do vastly different things. You can do an LPVO, you can do a kind of like a mid-power, like a 2.5 to 10 with a red dot piggyback. You can do however you want to do it, but I personally love red dots and magnifiers. They're my favorite combo. You can take the magnifier off when you don't want to lug it around on the gun. You can put the magnifier on when you want to use a magnifier. That's just how that goes. I think you get some really good precision. Now I am going to go with the G45 magnifier. I think that's probably going to be one of the better ones you can do. I really like that. I don't know if I'm going to change this to a 2.26 mount at any point in time. I have been absolutely loving the ScalarWorks 193 mounts. I think they are fantastic. I absolutely love them. But you can always, you can change to a 2.26 mount. As of right now, I'm really, really heavily looking into the G45. And that's kind of what I want. And now with a red dot, you're getting not a ton of precision, but I want to be able to look out and kind of positively ID. I think G45 is that way. Now, you'll notice this rifle does not have backup iron sights. I've been looking at a couple different things. The M-Bus Pros, I really like their metal sights. I hear decent reviews. They're not like fantastic. They're not going to blow you out of the water. They're not super precise, but they're pretty good for what you get. I'm also looking at this ScalarWorks 193 or regular height, lower 1/3 co-witness or whatever. Iron sights, I think the iron sights I think those iron sights that you can get from Scalarworks, wow, just totally blanked. The ones from Scalarworks are fantastic. I really like them. They look good. Plus, they're coming out with the fold down ones. I really want to try those out if I'm going to try them, but they're very expensive. It'll be north of $300 if you buy the set. Cool part is you can kind of break that up, but for I think about 160, 170 bucks, you get the Magpul M-Bus Pros. I think those might be the way to go. Again, I don't know. People are going to tell me that I'm wrong no matter what. Going into the handguard, I did go with the Midwest Industries 2-piece free float M-Lock handguard. They don't make this one anymore. They still make it in a quad rail, but they decided to go away from the M-Lock. Again, the M-Lock is a huge pain in the butt. I absolutely do not like the M-Lock on here. It does not go far enough forward. It's very hard to push a light out. I wish they would have put at least a couple M-Lock slots up here. It's like my perfect spot for a light. That's where I like lights, but they didn't do that. I might figure out another plan for a light. I might even just go with my Scout light and push it up here. Who knows? I will figure out a way to do that at some point, but we'll get into the light here in a minute. I like the rail because it has a ton of venting, has its little holes here for your slings and doing all that. I actually like that little sling hole, and that's actually why I don't have any extras on here. It's just a really good sling mount. I think that's fantastic. Now, before we get into the barrel and all that fun stuff, I did go with a Comp M5. I love the Comp M5. I wanted to use something that had a AA or AAA battery, so either the Comp M4 or the Comp M5. The Comp M5 is lighter weight. I wanted to go with that, but I still love the Comp M4. It looks beautiful. It reminds me of my CCO when I was in the Army. Close quarters optic, or close combat optic, I'm sorry. So there we go. Going into the bolt carrier group, the bolt carrier group and the barrel. The bolt carrier group is the Sons of Liberty Gunworks that we talked about, but the barrel is also a Sons of Liberty Gunworks. Now, that is either made by A, Roscoe, or B, Ballistic Advantage. Both companies make fantastic barrels. They have a tendency to be kind of sloppy with the gas blocks. Totally understandable. A lot of people really want something affordable. My problem is when you get into affordable territory, you have looser tolerances. When you have looser tolerances, you have stuff like gas blocks that bleed gas off too much, and they just don't work very well. So I sent this off to Trajectory Arms to get tuned. They did their tuning service. They did all that fun stuff. It will run suppressed and unsuppressed, no problem. And it, in fact, does run suppressed and unsuppressed, no problems. I am running it with an H1 and Super 42 spring. That's kind of how I have it tuned for right now. H2 gets a lot softer, doesn't run steel as much, but it still runs, and it works out really well. I like the Sons of Liberty Gunworks barrel. It's fantastic. If I ever shoot it out, Mike said that he will replace it. Also, the cool thing about Trajectory Arms is if you shoot it out, he'll warranty his work. So he'll put on a new gas block. He'll pin and weld your muzzle device for free. Just send it to him. He'll do it. He'll send it back to you. Alex is an awesome guy, makes excellent stuff. Trajectory Arms is a company that I cannot tell you enough good things about. And in fact, they even have their dedicated suppressed upper that you can go pick up now if you want. So you can go do that. Going into the light situation, I went with a Mod Light PLHV2. I personally like OKWs more, especially if you're running a rifle. I think rifle lights should be that. But the PLHV2 is pretty good, has a decent amount of spill, kind of like the in between a PLHV2 or between the PLHV2 and the OKW. I think if you're going to be running mid-range stuff to close in, you can definitely run the PLHV2. I think the OKW is still fantastic. It definitely has that barrier kind of penetration light when it comes to other light. I can't remember what that's called. And then all the fun stuff there. I like that. I do feel like this is quite a bit of a bulky setup. I did go with the Cloud LCS for the Surefire pressure pad. I'm going to go ahead and say this. This is kind of cost prohibitive. When it comes to this, I just think that it kind of costs too much. $70 for a pressure pad mount, I just think is wildly outrageous. But that's just me. Other people will disagree and tell me that I'm wrong. That's totally fine. You can do what you want to do. But I do have the 18650 light. I have the DS00 tail cap along with the Surefire, whatever, just random, not solid on pressure pad. I really like it. It's a good pressure pad. It works really well. It's easy to push, easy to stay on, but doesn't activate too easily. If you go with the real Surefire ones, I've heard people go with the kind of Chinese knockoff ones. they're kind of really shitty. So there we go. But I just think it's kind of cost prohibitive. I would probably go with the Surefire, the regular Surefire one in the future, or maybe get a Bond Button Light. I think the Bond Button Light is kind of the best overall, all around, affordable, good setup you can have going on there. But like, I am running a foregrip. You can do what you want. The caveat being, it's up to you. It's your gun. You do it. And you know, build it how you need it to be built out. Now, also, I do go with a flash hider. This is yes, it's a fighting gun. I do think that if you're going to be fighting with it, you should be running suppressed. Even though I don't own a suppressor yet, I should get one. But yeah, I think that the suppressor aspect, sure, good to go. But if you cannot run a suppressor, I think you should be running a flash hider. I think that's something you should be mitigating at all times. If you can't suppress your noise, suppress your flash. So at least they can't see you when it's dark. Other than that, I think the system overall works really well. Now, caveat to this whole thing being, this is one that I had built. I kind of assembled all the parts, kind of figured out what I wanted to do. You can do that. This is something that you can do over time. I think that there are different setups that you can be doing if you want to be doing it as soon as possible. You can head on over to Brownells again. They should have the Mark 16 URGI uppers coming in stock very soon for the 14.5, which is what I will be getting, especially to compare to this upper. But the 14.5 URGI is a very, very good upper. It's in that mid-range category. It's at the LMT. It's at the Geisley category because it's Geisley, but I think that the way they have it bomb-proofed and all that, that's how it goes. Now, speaking of bomb-proofing, I do have a gas block on here that is pinned. I think that is absolutely necessary between fighting rifle, end of the world rifle, whatever. If your gas block isn't pinned in place, you're going to have a point of failure. So why not eliminate that point of failure altogether and just pin your gas block? You'll be able to see the roll pin that goes in there. I do not recommend taper pins specifically because I talked to Alex about this and he doesn't recommend taper pins because taper pins can be damaged while putting them in or taking them out. With a roll pin, you can just punch it out and then you can punch a new one in when you need it, when you're done maintaining everything. So I think that is probably the best way to go. Forward Control Designs gas block makes it super easy for them to do that. And why not have it if it's, you know, it was I think a $40 upcharge to have him do that, so why not bomb-proof your gas block? But yeah, and then I have the pin and welded muzzle device so the ATF doesn't shoot my dog in the meantime, but you know, when everything push comes to shove, kind of easier to remove, especially if you have a Dremel. So there you go, gunsmith it up. All right, guys, get yourself some Dremels. Do all that stuff. I personally like running the vertical foregrip. That's just my thing. If you want to run an angled foregrip or you want to run the CAG or any of that, whatever, not a problem. Go ahead and do it. But I think your fighting rifle needs to be one of the rifles that you train with most often. Every time I go to the range, I make it a point to put 50 or 100 rounds downrange with this rifle. I make it a point because I need to make sure that no matter what I'm doing, I'm practicing with my rifle that I'm going to be shooting the most, because this is one of those rifles I'm going to be shooting the most. I think that's probably one of the things I do most often. It doesn't matter what I'm shooting. It doesn't matter if I'm just shooting handguns that day. I always make sure to at least go shoot 50 to 100 rounds out of this. Most often, it's 100 rounds. Who doesn't like shooting a rifle? Those are my considerations for your fighting rifle. Now again, fighting rifle is 10% of it. I realize your fitness, personal fitness. I'm in the process of losing weight. I've been losing weight. I realize I'm still chubby. Understandable. I realize there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. But why not have the best tool for the job? And if you can build it, or if you can buy it off the rack, or if you build it over time and have someone like Trajectory Arms kind of put all the parts together for you, why not? But Brownells did send a lot of the stuff out for review. So huge shout out to Brownells. Brownells is awesome. So far, my review of this upper has been pretty awesome. I love everything the Trajectory Arms has done. In fact, we're just about to push into the 2,000 round area on this gun. I have beat the crap out of it. It's going to continue to get beaten up. But yes, I will definitely give you guys that overall. And then also, I think it should be somewhat accurate. It doesn't need to be like lights out accurate, but when we go into our next thing on this upper, what'll be the accuracy testing, I've already done it. It shoots really well. 69 grain stuff is fantastic. So we'll be showing that overall in one of the next videos. I know this is kind of long-winded. I don't want to keep you guys here any longer than you need to be, but this is a fantastic rifle. Thank you, Trajectory Arms, for putting it together. This is one of the many considerations you can do for having a fighting rifle upper receiver. Again, this is a fighting rifle thing, and that's how that is. go hit up Brownells, use code TRIGGERED on anything over 150 or more. Thank you guys so much for everything. Go be a hoodlum.